Hey Film Nuts, how's it going? Back with another video. Like I said before, it's gonna take some time to get these videos out. Have a lot to do, a lot of work. But other than that, let's talk about a movie review. Now, today's movie review, I'm gonna be doing the Avengers: Age of Ultron. I believe I said it back in my last video that I'm gonna be doing the Avengers, in order. So last time my last video was the first Avengers, and this is the second one, and the next would be Infinity War and Endgame, leading up, to the climactic events that's happening in these movies. The one thing right off the bat, this is a good movie, and I'll get into it. Age of Ultron is I want to say it was co-written by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Stan Lee kind of like drew most of the comics back in the day. Oh man, I forgot what year that this comic came out. I want to say 84, 85, when they actually introduced Ultron, not Age, but just Ultron himself. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to dig a little bit deeper in that. Just kind of just don't want to just look on Google or whatnot, and just become across as as a front guy that just looks on Google and says, "Hey, I know everything," but I can't remember. I'll look it up though. This movie entails of the kind of like the the post traumatic thing that Tony Stark was revealing in from the first Avengers, of when you got the Jatari coming down to Earth, messing things up. Loki, he had that army, you know what I mean? So he was like, "Hey, we." And keep in mind, at the beginning of the movie, there is this character. Her name is Wanda. Wanda and Pietro Maximoff. I think that's how you pronounce his name. They're basically kind of like the first mutants, slash mutants in the MCU, and the way that and I'll get into it. I'll get into it. There's only a couple episodes left, but when it gets done, I'm gonna review WandaVision. So look out for that. Um, they're kind of like the basically, I put in quotes, the first mutants in the MCU, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She has these powers that can just, like telekinesis, manipulation, changing reality, into like anything that she wants. So she gives Tony Stark, at the beginning of the movie, she gives Tony Stark, Iron Man, a vision of what's to come. It's and she was created. Her powers came from the Mind Stone. Same thing that's gonna lead into the Vision, to Age of Ultron. I'm sorry, I keep doing that. To Ultron, was created by the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone is the possibly, not possibly, but is one of the, in my opinion, one of the best stones out of the Infinity Stones, because like I said, she can manipulate anything that she wants into, she can turn a water bottle into a wine bottle. So that's why I like about her and her powers and stuff like that. But she shows Tony Stark, like I said, she shows Tony Stark a vision of what's to come, into the future, if the Avengers, or even just him, don't do anything about the big threats. So uh, Tony Stark gets a hold of this technology. It's called the Scepter, and he's like, "Hey, we gotta make something." You know what I mean? In his words, quote for quote, word for word, we have to have a suit of armor around the world, and that was one of the ideas of creating Ultron. Ultron was this subconscious type of robot that would be able to do willingly free things as we do as humans, but under the control of a computer. He's a robot. But obviously he goes rogue. He doesn't want to do the doesn't want to go from the mission or from the plan, whatnot, from what Tony and from the other Avengers, what they had in mind for Ultron. Bruce Banner, the Hulk, he kind of like helps, and and that's why I love these movies. They have good conflict because it's not all about just teamwork. Okay, and let's get the band together and let's fight this big bad guy, whatnot. No, they have some conflict. They have some arguments, some dialogue that's very very deep, and some back and forth, and it's just like you're kind of like scratching your head, like why are they fighting? Why are they arguing? And then you come to the final conclusion of why they're fighting, why they're being so just nitpicky at each other, and why they're getting into each other's faces, grabbing each other's throats. So you get to see that, and I love how they did that in the movie, where there was that conflict after Ultron becomes physical, and Ultron, and sorry for my language, he just talks shit. He just comes in and he's like a person that just walks into your home and starts your couch on fire and then leaves. Like, that is the type of villain that Ultron is, and I loved. I want to say James Spader that voiced him. He just had the perfect diminishing or dimension, and creating that type of villain, because it was all in mocap. You know what I mean? He had the little white balls, around his face, and it was all just like visual effects, CGI. So his voice was just perfect for Ultron, and they pitched it to his voice to where it was like kind of like growly, and it had a little robot little sound to it, and I loved it. I really really, I think his name is James Spader. Not really too sure. I'm gonna have to look it up. But the overall plot, like I said, from the beginning, it was Tony just being just kind of like scared of what's to come, and he needed, in his words, a suit of armor around the world. So he built Ultron. Ultron didn't like the plan. Ultron's messing things up. Taking down facilities and grabbing this huge tech, trying to get into the government's tech and stuff like that. So the Avengers, they kind of get, their butts whooped, if you will, in one fight, and they're like, yeah, we gotta get away for a little bit. So it was actually, I believe it was Adam Warlock, or if it was Silver Surfer, who took them to another planet or to another dimension or something. Like I said, I can't remember. That was a long time since I read that comic book. But they take him to like another world, another planet, another dimension, and they kind of hide out for a little bit. The Avengers, and in the movie, it's Clint, Hawkeye, takes him to his kind of like his farmhouse, if you will, and it was like a secret off grid house that Shield got for him, Nick Fury got for him before it went into Hydra and stuff like that. That's another good story right there. We'll get into that too. So it takes him to hide out, and spends a day, couple days, just recouping, and then it was they call him Quicksilver, Pietro's Maximoff, Wanda's brother, and her help Ultron, trying to like fight the Avengers and try to get them to manipulate each other to turn against each other. So, and this is we're gonna get into it. It's going into the final battle. It's I want to say it's like a good 45 to an hour long. Like it's not long to meaning like it just like I'm like looking at my watch and saying, when is this gonna get over? No, it's a very long sequence that I really really enjoyed. You have all these battles, you have all this dialogue, you have just different characters communicating with other different characters that you wouldn't have thought that they, would be able to do that. Or, just think that, okay, well, this character doesn't like this character, they're not going to talk. No, there's some characters that have some deep dialogue, at the end of the at the at the third quarter of this movie, and it's just good. It's just good. It's just good. The way that it turns out, it's Ultron, he has his plan. He wants to turn Sokovia. I don't know where that is. You know what I mean? I don't have a map or anything, but it's Sokovia. I want to say like Germany or Italy or something like that. I'm not too sure. Don't get mad at me. Um, but he wants to turn a big chunk of this town, of this city, into a big vibranium. And keep in mind, vibranium is the strongest metal in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right next to adamantium. That's all the X-Men type stuff right there. But vibranium is the strongest metal in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's what Cap's shield is made out of. So, they figure out, what Ultron's plan is, and it's just this big chunk, this big, big, huge, like New York City size type of meteor that's filled with heavy metal. And what Ultron wants to do is that he wants to create nothing but metal on Earth. It kind of like took me back a little of when I first saw it, because like every single almost every single superhero that I've seen, there's always one villain that just wants to destroy the world, destroy the universe. You know what I mean? Loki in the first Avengers, he wanted to destroy the world, and it's like why? Like we knew his motivations and everything, but it just didn't really like stick with me. The way that Ultron delivered his lines, the reason why he wanted to do it was just incredible. Was just incredible. He was talking about all this philosophical type of stuff, and all this like religious stuff, and all this, he was talking about when, even before mankind, the dinosaurs had a global extinction, and everything was fine. And it's like he was saying some deep stuff, and you're like, whoa, quote for quote, he was like, God, he's a kid winding up. He has a baseball in his hand, and he goes, trust me, he's about to throw a big stone at you. And I don't know, and that's what I mean by all this philosophical type of stuff. I don't know if that was actually meaning him, you know what I mean? Because he did have like a big ball, of metal that he wanted to throw at Earth. But I really do think that it was leading up to Thanos, which we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, it's just one of those movies where I'm just like, wow, like I said, the dialogue was good, the cinematography was good, the CGI of Ultron himself was, like I said, phenomenal. I'm like, wow, here's this two story, if you will, robot who's talking like a human. Like whoa, it's a pretty good movie. I'm gonna have to give it a matinee. It's not at a full price. There are some things in there, like they were trying to lead into like future films that we like the general audience had no idea what was going on. There was one sequence where Thor had a kind of like a premonition, if you will, like he had like a dream sequence that he saw the Infinity Gauntlet. There's not a lot of casual viewers that don't read the comics, but like at the time, when this movie came out, they're like, "What is that? Like, why did you put that in there?" Like, it made other people confused. It made them like unsettled about it, because they were just wanting to watch a team up movie instead of a movie that was trying to set something up. And that's why people were kind of like taken back by it a little bit, because the first Avengers didn't do that. The first Avengers was just the Avengers movie, getting them together, getting the band together to fight this evil force that they couldn't just do one by one. It had to be a team effort here. So I don't know why the studio thought it was a good idea to try and like put little snippets, you know what I mean? They were putting little tic tacs here, little tic tac there, like, okay, well, later down the line, if nothing works, we can set it up for a future film. Later down the line we can do this, we can do that. It's like, and that's why people were extremely confused by that. And that's why it kind of got the rating that it did. It is the lowest rating out of all four Avengers, but despite that, and despite everything that they were trying to do, and everything that it got from the backlash, and despite from all the other critics out there that said that it was horrible, I didn't think it was horrible. Like I said, I gave it a matinee. It's not at a full price because of those things, but it is a very high matinee for me. So I do think that if you're at home watching Disney Plus, if there's nothing on, I highly suggest watching this movie. I highly suggest watching it from the first Avenger leading up to this, and then if you want to, you can go back and forth to watching like Winter Soldier, because after that Winter Soldier happens, you got Thor 2, you got all these other movies that lead into it, and it's really fun. It's a really good beat 'em up type of movie. There wasn't like any like big dramatic, over the top scenes or anything like that. And I get other people's criticism about it, because it was why did you do that? You had something good, going here, but you wanted to stir into the other direction and say, well, if this movie doesn't work, we can work on that. And it's like, and then I'm gonna have to say it. I really am. I don't know if people are gonna be mad at me, but there were some things in this movie that, like I said, they were trying to do for future films, didn't pan out in those future films. I don't know what. Like I said, I don't know why they did it. It was just like a studio creative difference. I'm pretty sure it was between Kevin Feige, Josh Whedon. There were some things on set, I'm pretty sure, that were lost in translation, lost in dialogue, and they're like, no, we got to take that out. We got to pick up the pace or something. I'm not really too sure. But like I said, this is a very high matinee. Highly recommend it. And like I said, if you're just bored at home, wanting to watch, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not going through every single movie leading up to the Avengers or whatnot. I'm just watching each Avenger movie, side by side. And I highly recommend, if you want to do that, just watch all four Avengers. Go ahead. It's not the lowest of the low, but it's down there, because from my first review of the first Avengers, I gave it a high full price. So like I said, it's a matinee for me. It's gonna be one of those things where it does grow on me every single time that I watch it, and every single time I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? I do miss some things from the last time that I didn't watch it, from this time that I've seen it, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. There is going to be more movie reviews to come. Like I said, I'm going to be doing Avengers: Infinity War. Now that one's going to be a little bit longer, because there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of things that got lost in translation, dialogue, and some reviews, interviews, and stuff like that. So I wanted to come out and say that beforehand, just to let you know. But if you have any movies out there, like I keep saying, any movies out there that you'd like me to review, want me to do, want me to see, talk about, let me know in the comment section. Please hit that like button, and I hope you guys have a good day. Later.